I Hate Politics is a podcast about a human activity we love to hate. I'm Sunil Dasgupta. Montgomery County Public Schools, MCPS, is embarked on two sets of interconnected reforms, reorganizing the way they deliver magnet education and moving school attendance boundaries to reassign students to new and expanded schools. New attendance boundaries are required when a new school is built. Existing attendance zones have to be carved to create a new catchment. Same for major expansions. While school attendance boundary changes are always accompanied by heartache and recriminations, they are, in the end, unavoidable. In contrast, the programmatic changes that MCPS is proposing are policy-driven, and it turns out remarkably ambitious. First, MCPS wants to divide the school district into 6 regions and then build 5 different distinct subject matter areas like science and math, health and biomed, education and leadership, theater and the arts. And each of those are further divided into pathways that treat the subject matter at different levels, such as academic and vocational. We've done several episodes looking at the program change proposals from various sides. Now, finally, we have on the show 2 leaders of the program analysis process, Jeannie Franklin and Angela McLean. Franklin is the director of MCPS's Department of Consortia Choice and Application Program Services, or in other words, Magnet and Career Programs. And McLean is Executive Director of the Division of Teaching and Learning. What began as a conversation about the challenges of program changes, staffing, training, curriculum, recruitment, revealed a more ambitious consequence that possibly divides the school district into 6 mini school districts when we began exploring the intersection between program changes and boundary changes. Seems like boundary changes are going to become subservient to program regions. Many have long called for the massive MCPS district to be governed by regions. And here it seems the first roots of it. Stay with us.
I Hate Politics is brought to you by UMBC's Political Science Program, where you'll learn to shape public policy, impact communities, and function at the center of modern society. Learn more at shadygrove.umbc.edu.
Every morning when I wake up, some coffee, fill up my cup, turn on the telly, flip to the news.
I Hate Politics is a podcast about our neighborhoods, workplaces, schools and streets, and our local governments as they function in diverse and democratic societies. This means our politics are messy, dirty, sometimes corrupt, with often self-serving politicians. But no matter how much we may hate politics, we are never exempt from it, even when we refuse to participate. In fact, the purpose of politics is to keep society functioning, precisely when we don't agree with each other, like now. Music for this episode comes from the incomparable local musicians Seth Keibel and Flo Anito's jazz album, Tiny Hands, Big Desk. Anito is on vocals, Keibel on the clarinet, Christian Perez on the guitar, Bob Abbott, double bass, and Tom Teasley, percussion.
Boiling over, it's man against man, but man is just man, one species, one kind. Best way to be conquered is to further divide, but instead of uniting, seems like everyone's fighting.
Jeannie Franklin, Angela McLean, welcome to I Hate Politics.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
you are both working on building the program analysis and the changes to Magnet and other application programs. In the last several weeks and months, you have received a ton of feedback. Based on the feedback, how are you changing your plans?
The plan was to ensure that there were meaningful, interesting, high-impact programs in every high school. We started with looking at Montgomery County's 27 high schools in 2027. So we divided the system up into 6 regions. And with those 6 regions, we also were committed to ensuring that every high school in those regions would offer a regional program, because currently 19 do. So now that we have proposed that every school will offer a regional program, we wanted to ensure that there would be transportation provided within the regions.
Give me an example of 1 or 2 high schools that do not have regional programs.
Quince Orchard High School does not have a regional program. Damascus High School, Winston Churchill, Wooten, BCC, Bethesda Chevy Chase.
Churchill, BCC, QO, they are strong schools.
They are strong schools.
Yeah, and there's no shortage of programming in a sense. They have local programs, which, what is the difference between a local and regional program? Except the fact that who can attend, right?
One of the big differences we see is that we have a variety of different programs that we offer that are cost prohibitive to replicate them in every school.
Such as?
Like our science, math, computer science program, right? We have those accelerated and rich programs in 2 high schools in which there are teachers, resources, operations that support the actual programming of that. And so having 25 of those, we may not be able to elevate that at the same level as we are for students who have a need for a more concentrated level of instruction.
Are you still planning to do 6 regional science, math, computer science programs?
Yeah.
Yes,
You cannot have 27 of those, but you believe you can have 6.
We do.
absolutely.
Will these 6 programs have 8 periods?
We're definitely considering that as a model.
Will they have block periods?
We're building a team at this point to help us think through what the core experience should look like. And there is some space to deviate and grow from our existing. But as we have worked with our existing program coordinators at both Poolesville and Blair, it was discussed how there needs to be a very standard core of experience instructionally and programmatically. And then, yes, there should be opportunities for local innovation and opportunities simply because the regions are they have different access to different partnerships.
Where is the staffing coming from? And where is the retraining coming from? And how much autonomy are they really going to have in order to replicate a high quality program? And I talk about science and math, but you could do the same thing with communication arts, visual arts. So Einstein has a visual arts center, which is extraordinary, but it is extraordinary because it has that autonomy. It selects out a cohort from the entire county, and now there will be, in your model, 6 such programs. And you need teachers, and you need the autonomy, and you need the retraining, and you need the cohort selection. Without those, how are you going to get to that quality?
We have a lot of qualified teachers. We have teachers who have degrees in their subject area and they're degreed in teaching. So they're bringing both their content and their skill. There have been geographic barriers for teachers in, having these kind of positions. I know when I was a teacher at Springbrook, I would have loved to have taught an humanities program, but I could not have commuted to Poolesville. That wouldn't work in my lifestyle. I think that in each plan for each program, the money and the time for professional learning and collaboration is embedded and essential. And that collaboration across regions for the teachers who are building these programs together is a key part of that. drawing on the expertise of the teachers and the programs now, so we can build on, their knowledge, what they're doing, the interdisciplinary connections that they're making. That collaboration is powerful, important, and needs to be fostered throughout the development of the program and after.
There are lots of capable teachers. That's not the issue. The issue is whether they'll have autonomy to take out an entire section from the pacing guide and not be dinged for that.
I think that's a really good point. And I think that as we are looking to standardize across the county, these programs, that is something that we're going to have to contend with. But I think from our perspective, Sunil, what's important here is that we are building a team that's going to help deliver this. And we're using, again, the content experts, our Poolsville and Blair talent, who are helping to inform, who are very vested, whether they agree with this or not. And I'm not saying whether they are or not, because we've had lots of discussions, but everybody has the same intention. We want the right thing for our students. And if this is the direction we're going, they're going to share their best learning. So all of the programs we have started, we've had growing pains, and it's taken a few years, but we're not at a starting line. We're not at a start line. I think we're halfway, through. We have a lot of information, strategies, and tools. This is really about building our teachers. When we think about professional development, we're not talking about 1, 2, 3 workshop sessions. We're talking about intensive professional development. We definitely think that there is a large group of teachers who would really want an opportunity to work in these fields. They might not stay in them, but they would like to maybe start in them. So we're not super concerned about the staffing and the tools. What we are interested in most is building the team.
Are you looking for a decision from the Board of Education authorizing you to move forward before you build a team?
No, we are looking to build a team now.
This has to be approved in December.
Correct.
In the 2 months of November and December, you are going to be able to build this team and resolve these issues that I believe are structural. How do you embed several 8-period programs in a school that is otherwise 7 periods? Mm-hmm. What happens to the folks that are going, well, why is somebody getting more and my kid not getting more? Those are real problems that you're going to face. Your focus is on talent. I have severe reservations about the ability to build a structure to facilitate this talent.
I think you mentioned that we didn't have structures for kind of the cross-regional working together to plan together, and we do. We have several programs that are relatively unique and rare. We have certified nursing program where we have a few of them, and they are the only experts in the entire district. And so we have structures to bring them together, to plan together. So this is something that we have done before.
The scale at which you're proposing this requires a significant shift of resources from current schools to these magnet application programs that frankly could take away resources from the home schools.
I'm not sure if it's going to take resources away because every school is going to have programs, and every school is also going to be servicing with these programs their local students. And so that's something that we believe will be absorbed. So an example is this. I think that people are thinking, because we're going to have regional programs in every school, that we're starting from scratch. We're talking about 11 new schools having programs. We already have 19 schools with existing coordinators, existing programs, existing resources, existing infrastructures. So it's not like that's new money. What we're talking about is our newer programs who are going to be installing these programs. That's where some of the money really needs to go toward, and some of that is within their building already. So I do think that we talked about at the board table that it might look like it might be about $1 million per region. Because for the Down County Consortium and the Northeast Consortium, that's about how much that we use to run it. So those are already operational funds. And we're just evolving it into this regional model, but that money already exists. And so it's not like we're looking for a tremendous amount of money to stand up 27 new high school programs.
So, for example, with Richard Montgomery, it's going to only get students now from a region. What's going to happen to Rockville's IB program?
Rockville is going to keep its IB program as a local program. And one of the ways the program, the regional programs can work with that. So Rockville is getting a medical science and healthcare program. We want their local IB program to be strong and to be an asset to their regional programs. Let's say a medical science pathway would include advanced science courses. In that school, those courses would be IB courses, allowing those courses to be offered to the whole school as well. So we think they can work together.
Is your vision that most of MCPS will be in some program? Is that the vision?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Mm-mm.
It is to meet the needs of students who are looking to engage with a program that's not easily available at their school. About 10% of kids right now are in programs. 10%. It's a small number. But what we anticipate, it'll grow to potentially 20% or higher.
Where would you put the marginal dollar? Do you put that money in application programs, or do you put that money in the homeschool?
We think of the homeschool as the baseline. So a big part of this work that we haven't had a chance to present on is our commitment to decreasing the variance across what's offered at high schools and making every local high school program strong.
Can you specify that variance that drives you to do this?
Sometimes it's access to particular AP or IB courses, a level of instruction. There might be differences in the technology-related offerings. We have an engineering program at some schools.
How does your program changes that you're proposing fix that problem?
I wouldn't say the programs are intended to fix those variances.
Then what are they supposed to do?
To provide opportunities to students that we could not replicate at all schools. We cannot have 27 of the programs, but we have to address the variance across schools separately, but the programs might enhance, offerings, but not always.
Spanish and French are common languages in our high school. But in recent years, some of our high schools did not offer both of those courses. And that's variance. And so what happens is that then students apply through one of our processes to request a different school so they can get the language course sequence at another school, right? So that is a variance. There's just a baseline.
Okay, so how do the programs?
The programs are not.
They're not going to fix this problem, right?
The real work for us is the local pathways. That is the real work. So we talked about multivariable calculus as an example in math. Not all of our schools offer that. There's not really a critical mass yet that we're aware of that needs to access it in every school, but that is something that we need to evaluate. Now, if it's not going to be offered in every school, we do have this new model of a region where we could potentially leverage virtual or online learning and create a critical mass. So I just think that in that model, it's not the programs that are fixing local variance, it's our infrastructure of a region where we actually could leverage some of that as a tool to help create critical masses for students.
Do your program proposals include virtual programming as part of it?
It may. Because we have already existing online learning to pathways, that sort. And so we have introduced that at the board. We are talking about that with our staff about how we can leverage technology to ensure that students get access to, concentrated, unique programming or courses that we can't offer everywhere or can't offer everywhere.
You said that families are interested in regional programs that seemingly have higher quality than local programs. If you're going to also include virtual classes as part of the programming, do you think you would have convinced those people that you are actually delivering quality?
Online learning is not for every student. And these would be for a small number of courses. And so what we're saying is it's not a driver. It is an option. that we are exploring is how can we leverage technology to address some of our uniquely offered courses where we don't have critical mass in the school.
Okay, multivariate calculus. The problem is that students are not ready to take them. It's not the offering alone. I am sure if there was a cohort of students in any school that was ready to do multivariate calculus, it very much would be offered. You have severe staffing problems in math. And now there are going to be these schools within schools that'll take the best teachers away from the homeschool.
So I'm not sure if I agree with that statement, but what we are anticipating and what is not lost on us is that we have some concerns from our community that we're going to have more programs that our students cannot get in. We still have tremendous talent in our students who want programming. So we have to serve them.
Again, there is no doubt that there is demand. That is not the question. The question is, can you deliver?
Yes, we can deliver.
Based on what?
We have the blueprint, Sunil. Nothing that we're doing is brand new. Performing arts is not brand new. We're just scaling it to be a regional program. Science, math, computer science is not new. I know that there's skepticism about doing 4 more, but we have the blueprint. We have years, 40 years of learning that we can build from. And we're talking about this being in 2027. It's 2025. We have time and we're rolling it up. We start with grade 9. It is not 9 through 12, 2027. It's just grade 9. And so we get to do work all up until then, intensive work, ongoing work, learning, building, innovating.
How does all of this intersect with the boundary changes that's going to happen? So you've developed these regions, the hammer of those boundary changes are going to come. What is that intersection?
Regardless of the outcome of the boundary study, every student will have access to these regional programs because they will be repeated in each region. So there is an assurance as far as programming goes.
What happens if, as a result of boundary change, one region gets 2 performing arts and the other region gets 2 engineering programs? How would you fix that?
One region will only have 1 performing arts.
So the boundary change is going to take into account the regional distribution?
No, the boundary change only impacts where a student's home school is. So Jeannie might have Einstein as her home school right now. And in the boundary change, it might now, I'm going to make it up, it might now be Woodward. But the regions stay the same.
So the regions are super boundaries, in effect. Because you're saying that the regions are not going to change no matter what. Even
Correct.
the boundary change is not going to change the regions. Is that your contention?
At this time, they're not changing. What did happen is that Dr. Taylor wanted the boundary study and the program analysis to go alongside each other. Back in August, we had 1 map of our regions. The boundary study worked on their new options and gave us feedback. And as a result of that feedback, we changed our regions.
What was that change?
The change was Quince Orchard was in Region 6, Damascus was in Region 5. Those 2 switched as a result of information from the boundary study.
Then we had to reevaluate each region programmatically because we're trying to tie programs to the schools with the most existing resources. Then there were changes.
Yeah. So where did they land up?
Damascus is with Poolsville, Clarksburg, Seneca Valley, and Northwest. Quince Orchard is with Gaithersburg, Magruder, and Watkins Smith.
If Damascus and Poolsville are in the same region now, and they have to share regional programs, that bus ride is...
There may be, but Damascus is kind of far from many schools.
In your regional model, you're also providing the buses.
Yeah. Yes.
So therefore, that bus ride is going to be horrendous. And I bet you'll hear complaints.
Damascus students already go. Families get to make a decision about what is most important to them when it comes to a program. And we don't hide it. Even in our current model, we don't hide that you need to think about the transportation for your children. Some of the students have testified at the board I will go an hour and a half if I can get to the program that I want. I mean, they say that. This is not for everybody.
Two big questions here, which
Okay.
is the quality of the programs and
Yes.
whether they are convinced and you can convince them as to the quality. And that question is not answered fully yet. And I think the second part is who will go where. So if you look now down county for a second, I know we were on up county, but if you look down county for a second with the boundary change, right? Whitman and BCC have almost no boundary change because they are limited by the programming. And what has happened as a consequence is that the farms rates in Kennedy and Northwood are going to go up because Whitman and BCC will remain unchanged.
Yeah. So I unfortunately, I don't know if we're the right people to talk about the options, but we have heard some of that same sentiment. We've heard, but I just want to clarify that the programs are not the reasons why the demographics might not be changing. Like the programs are very separate from the boundary.
Conceptually, I'd imagine if you are doing program changes and you're doing boundary changes, you could end up in regions that have one region having two performing arts and one region having two engineering programs, unless you somehow constrain the choices on one of those sides. If regions are going to be the super boundaries from now on, MCPS here on after is divided into 6 mini school districts. If that is the net of all of this, I can understand. But whatever boundary change happens is going to remain within the house, within the region. But if boundary changes, which are legally and emotionally more fraught, if boundary changes are the super regions, then you will get a region with 2 performing arts programs and 2 with engineering, and then you'll have to redistribute.
No. So let me clarify. So maybe this will help.
Okay.
The boundary study, the regions are at this time in place. The boundary has come up with their other options that they are putting forth, and they might tweak them. But what would change is not the regions. What would change is a student's region, because their address may go to a different school.
So, in fact, the regions are the super boundaries going forward in Montgomery County Public Schools.
I just don't know if we like that word.
Now I'm wondering, are we going to have snow closures by region?
I don't think so.
No?
Because
Why
that's
not?
elementary, middle, and high.
Why not?
No, I don't know. But you know what? You know what I love? I love that that's a question you're asking now.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there is possibility. So this is an opportunity. We can imagine the possibilities with these regions.
Do you have a sense of what happens when, say, a program does not get the kind of interest you thought it would have?
When programs have a pattern of having low enrollment, low completion, program coordinators and the schools need to start evaluating.
How long will you wait before you close?
I don't know, Angela, what it's after the first year. For example, in our centrally managed programs, we look at the first year, and if we can't fill it for the year, because we do the admission the year before, if we can't fill it, that's the year we start thinking about, do we need to sunset? What were the issues? Do an examination.
I'm hearing that this is going to be case by case decision to sunset or not.
When we started this work, we developed the framework first with our community to learn from them, from our community members, from our students, from our staff, from our families, from the industry members, what the program areas were that they thought were most important for all students to have access to. And that's where those program themes come from. And that's really important. That combined with looking at our programs that have the highest wait lists and highest demand for, and bringing those things together helps us feel pretty confident about the selection. But it's also in the implementation. During that 5-year development period, really the 4 years while the kids are in the program, we have opportunities to do better, by the end of that 4 years.
So you have a 5-year runway anyway, no matter what. Okay, so 5 years have passed. You've seen some programs, and particularly I'm thinking about teacher training programs, honestly, the early development, which are absolutely under enrolled almost everywhere that I've seen. Say you shut down 2 or 3 of those. I am concerned that the more well resourced communities are going to be able to keep under enrolled programs in place longer than school communities that are less resourced.
I'm not sure that's true. And I think that our recent conversations with our principals, when we provided them the first phase of where programs would go, we heard from them that this is not going to stay alive. This is not interesting to our community, blah, 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 blah. If we understand it might not have been thriving in their school, there might be 4 other schools in that region, in a 5-school region, where there might be 10 students in each of those schools that might want to come. So now we have a critical mass.
So you said principals push back, right?
Yeah.
Gave you
of course they
pushback.
do.
Okay, what pushback did you get?
Some principals said that, why aren't you using my successful local pathway in my school? Why didn't you elevate that? And we said that not every successful local pathway needs to be regionalized. Of course.
What's an
local
example?
pathways- An example might be a school's performing arts. We have a successful jazz program in our school, a successful theater program. Why didn't you elevate that? It should be successful.
Is performing arts not one of your pathways?
It is. It is.
Then why not?
But many schools in a region have successful theater programs. So they all want it. But we had to pick one in a region.
What other kinds of pushback did you get?
Pushback on why do we have to have a criteria base? We want all of our programs to be interesting. We want open access.
Excellent question. What's your answer?
Adding to that was concern for schools, schools who said, well, we don't have a criteria base.
Yeah.
And so we did reevaluate our approach to ensure that every school had something criteria based as well.
But a big one, and I think, Angela, we should talk about this one, is that the perspective of what an academic program is. Some schools got, career and technical programs, and maybe the performing arts, which is a criteria-based program, meaning we're going to be using multiple measures to evaluate placement. But some schools really wanted more STEM. We want STEM. That was a very clear indication of what they wanted. And so we needed to reevaluate that.
Are you going to do that?
We did.
If you see the distribution of programs and the academic programs are in schools that have higher socioeconomic levels, while the career and tech programs are going to schools that have, on an average, lower socioeconomic levels, I think that's a problem.
I don't think that's the case. And I would caution us to say the career and tech courses are not academic, engineering courses, biomedical courses. We're often pairing them. So let's think about the medical science and healthcare. Your criteria based is your medical science with your advanced science and your more technical medical courses paired with certified medical assistant. So those things go hand in hand. So you have all the kids who have interest in, the broad array of medical fields and areas of study together accessing 2 different ways.
Have you talked to transportation people yet?
Yes.
Are they going to reconfigure their bus allocations region-wise?
We have been presenting to the board and that the first 3 years are going to be more costly, and we probably will see more buses on the road because we are phasing out one process and phasing in a new. The long-term outcome is that we will be saving resources because we are limiting the cross transportation across the county over time. And that there probably be other benefits to that as well. We've only talked about academic programs at this point, but there might be some growings when it comes to some of our other programs, serving our students in language acquisition programs and our special education program.
What are you thinking of in special education or?
Well, I think about,
language?
so this is Jeannie talking. This is Jeannie talking about where I work in a consortium. I support our consortiums. So the Down County Consortium, the Northeast Consortium. So when we have a student that moves into one of the high schools that has special education needs, there usually is a location for some of our more contained special education services. Currently, those are not driven by these regions right now. So what I'm just saying is that this region model for transport, because all of those still require transportation, and those are door to door. So there might be some potential supports to optimize resources, get students closer to a school for their special needs programs.
Jeannie Franklin, Angela McLean, thank you for taking the time to explain all your work.
Thank you for having us. Again, we'd love to come back, talk more about it.
You are
Yes.
always welcome.
Thank you.
Build me a home, make me a shelter, help me begin my ever after. Give me a haven, be my calm, keep me safe and keep me warm.
That's all for this episode of I Hate Politics, where we aim to stem the decline in local news by working with community voices. Don't forget to tune in to our Tuesday morning news analysis. I Hate Politics is produced by me, Sunil Dasgupta, with support from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I direct UMBC's political science program at the universities at Shady Grove in Montgomery County, where, among other things, we explore and learn about politics and government and society close to home. Music for this episode comes from the incomparable local musicians Seth Keibel and Flo Anito's jazz album, Tiny Hands, Big Desk. Anito is on vocals, Keibel on clarinet, Christian Perez on guitar, Bob Abbott, double bass, and Tom Teasley, percussion. If you want to share your music on the show or know someone else who might want to, please email us at producer@ihppod.org. I hope you will subscribe and share the podcast as we bring you stories about politics close to you and to your home. See you next time.
Build him a home, make him a shelter, help him begin his ever after. Give him a haven, be his calm, keep him safe, keep him warm, keep him safe, keep him warm, keep him safe.